Hey, welcome to Architects 360. This is our inaugural filming, I guess we should say. My name is Mike Gannotti. I'm an architect here in the Philadelphia MTC, and today I am joined by the following.
Rich Ross, architect focusing on Azure and application development.
Tariq, Hameed, focusing on Skype for business.
And Todd, Furst, focusing on infrastructure and cloud. I made that up.
That's
made my own
beautiful.
category up.
Your own category, I like that.
I mean, everything in the cloud.
That's right.
It's all in the cloud.
Get it all.
So today what we're going to do is just kind of go around. It's a little free form. We each have a topic we're going to bring up, and then others are free to chime in. For today's session, we're just recording, but in future sessions, what we'd like to do is actually we're going to go into our envisioning center, sit in a 360 circle,
Nice.
and then we'll have sitting outside of our circle our event coordinator, Stephen Castellani.
Yes.
And he will have
Drum.
he's gonna have the iPad doing Periscope and the Surface doing Facebook live stream, so that folks can watch us filming it and ask questions and comment themselves.
Yeah.
Nice.
You missed somebody.
And and we have Baby Bing. Don't get Baby Bing mad.
Dark background.
So when you want to search for something, you
to show like this.
Bing. All right, there we go.
There you go. No,
Baby Bing. So to start off today's session, Rich, you are actually getting ready to give a talk tonight, aren't you?
Yes.
So what are you talking about?
We're talking about PowerApps. Talking to a SharePoint user group. They're interested in understanding what PowerApps, what it is, what it's going to be used for, what kind of the future direction around PowerApps is, and in addition to that, also talking about Flow, because it's pretty heavily related.
Flow.
So PowerApps is essentially a way of building forms.
Okay.
It can talk to SharePoint, but it can talk to pretty much a multitude of different data sources, whether it's an Excel file that you have in some online storage, or even a custom API that you might create and have sitting up in Azure somewhere that you can go ahead and talk to. So it's a way of creating forms, creating summary information, and being able to share that with your colleagues.
Very cool. So what are you going to be doing tonight with that?
So we're going to do a little bit of overview on that and then talk about the kind of walk through how you would build one of those out, talking specifically to SharePoint and what that means. So show basically talking to a SharePoint list and showing all the data coming back, and then being able to go into it and view those items in the list and edit those items in the list, and then also how to configure them, because although it gives you some great things when you first connect everything up, to get it looking in a more usable manner, you want to do some little tweaking to it.
Little tweaking?
Yeah. So it gives you a good start, gives you a good base, and this is pretty much aimed at business users, and so you don't really need to be a developer to do this. And it talks more of a language that, if you think of macros and functions in Excel, that's really the language that you use to program this with. So it's definitely meant for the business user as something that I want to create.
Very cool. Comments, questions?
No, I never heard anyone mention the Excel angle, because there's that whole group of people in finance and all over the place that would probably love that. They probably want to do more than they can do right now with Excel, so you made them happy.
Yeah, especially can with that, are you able to tie together multiple spreadsheets for the application, like pull data from multiples and represent it? And
Yeah, so you can have multiple data or what they call data connections inside of your PowerApps app, and then obviously in your account you get multiple connections that you bring in, but you can choose the ones you want to bring in specifically to the app, and even to having what I'm trying to play around with and see if I can get working, because it'll be cool to show, is have two connections on one form page and be able to like you do a lookup list and share.
Right.
It's that kind of a model, and see how
Cool.
we show the cascading happening that way.
And then how do people get to the PowerApps?
PowerApps.com. It's
So they go to a website?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you're pitching the.
No, I'm not pitching. How do
Always
they?
one website.
The app itself. How do the users get to the app?
So there's a couple ways they can get to them. They can typically whoever builds that app has to share it with them.
Okay.
To start off with, so I can share it with my organization. I can share it with specific people. I can share it with an Azure Active Directory group, basically, if I wanted to. So you have some options around that. And they would, once it's shared with them, they would go into, log into PowerApps, whether it's the desktop or the website, and see, well, these are my apps that are available.
Okay. What about mobile?
There's a mobile platform as well, so it's available on the iOS platform. So you have the ability to go ahead and access those PowerApps from that too. And
cool.
You get that option when you build it, when you first start to create them, whether you want to build for the tablet or you want to build for mobile. So it gives you some different flexibility as far as the platform you're looking at.
Nice.
Does that, for people that like Access,
Yeah.
is this a thing for them possibly?
So Access could be
Oh,
a
Access
data source.
people?
Access
Okay.
can be a data source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can certainly do that.
That probably
But it
gets
does
But is
feel.
it going away from InfoPath? That kind of thing?
Oh, he said, I think that's the
Whoa,
word.
the
That's
info
the real
path.
question.
So this is
That's
good. I
a
get to
good
practice
question.
my
Yeah.
answer
Is this
now.
where we have the funeral then, like they had at the SharePoint conference?
It's already dead. So
We have not.
no.
By the way, that was Stephen
That's
Castellani
360.
who came
Yeah,
in.
he was our
That proves
future producer.
that proves
There
it's
he is.
360.
This 360. Yeah.
So this is essentially the forms offering that we're looking at going forward. So whether this InfoPath still has whatever support it currently
Right,
has,
But it's deprecated.
it's
Right.
deprecated.
But
yeah.
it's still, the support is there till 20 something,
Yeah.
23 or something,
Yeah.
for many years.
Move away.
Yes. Nothing to see.
Cool.
Awesome.
What do you got, Tariq?
Yeah.
What's on top of your mind?
He's
these
had the
days?
headphones
I'm-
on.
I'm
over there.
working-
I know.
Getting some hybrid voice configuration in the lab for my session. So
Hybrid voice.
yeah, it's an ultimate thing. So for example, if you have a Skype for Business pool in your environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have telephony switches, you can get the voice through that.
Mm-hmm.
What if you want to go to the cloud? Can you still leverage the on-premises pool for the voice or not? So the answer is yes, you can do that. So that's called hybrid voice. You can move everything, all your workload to the cloud, and keep your telephony switches on-prem. And then when you make the
Very
phone
cool.
call to the mobile line or landline, the signaling and media will come to the on-prem through the edge devices, and it'll make it happen.
Wow.
So that's the first scenario. The second scenario for the customer who don't have any kind of pool, they're greenfield users, right, customers, and they have some sort of a PBX or some switches, telephone
Mhm.
switch, right?
Yeah.
And they want to leverage that with online solution from Skype for Business Online. So for that, we just recently announced Cloud Connector Edition. That's a bunch of VMs that we're deploying on-prem, which serves the similar purpose of having a small on-prem pool, basically.
Right.
But we make it simple for them, and that's what I'm actually working on these days
Nice.
for my session. So basically, put 4 VMs will be deployed in your DMZ,
Right.
and all the rest of the stuff is in the cloud. So when you make the phone call, only the phone call will come into the on-prem through the Cloud Connector Edition, and will talk to your on-prem telephony switches, and will make the call.
Cool.
And that's-
Have you seen like
So-
demand for that with customers?
There's a lot of interest. I mean, more interest is toward cloud PBX. Taking my
Yeah.
phone number to the cloud and just use it there, or acquiring new phone number from the cloud. But it's getting there. Everybody's asking. Most of the customers have interest in how do we move away from on-prem maintenance
Mhm.
and upgrade and all that. Because it's a lot of work for on-prem pool for Skype for Business. It's a lot of work there. So you can move everything else in the cloud, but the voice piece was still hanging in there. Because if you already made an investment in Cisco or Siemens or Avaya, you want to leverage that. So we offer them the way to do that through the hybrid voice.
Very
So
cool.
it's interesting. I have in my lab, the first scenario is there where you can move your users to the cloud and keep your telephony on-prem.
Okay.
So everything else is in the cloud. Your PS3 conferencing in the cloud, your instant message web conferencing. When you make the phone call, through the signaling, SIP signaling, you're coming on-prem and using the switches. Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
So that's what I'm working on. And it's fully supported. So pretty much we're covering.
I hope
That's
so.
good to know.
That's a good
every
thing.
customer.
That's something you're writing in the
Every
back
scenario
there.
is fully covered from Skype for Business perspective now. Whether you have an on-prem pool or not, we'll give you the service.
That's funny.
So that's it.
Should have done that when you said it's fully supported.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a background story about this thing. So back in late 2013, we introduced this hybrid voice, and then we deprecated. We
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know
a
that.
few months later, we said
Oh.
no, we can't support it.
Alright.
So this time we're fully supporting and backing up.
Cool.
This
So
process.
instead of-
and it's working. It's
Cool.
quite a few customers already piloted out, and it's in the process. So.
Very nice.
But I'm interested to see how that works for me, and and then I can prove it through demonstration.
Right.
And,
So you're setting it up here.
Setting up here in the MTC here in the Philadelphia.
Very nice.
Yeah. My goal is to make it available to all MTCs, if I can.
You get it working like.
Fingers crossed.
Very cool.
Right. Any question from voice side?
No, I mean,
Let's just share it. Let's
Yeah.
make a phone call.
No, let's
next
make a
time.
phone. What I heard though in my head was first I heard and it's supported.
Yeah.
And then I heard, and we did it back with 13, and then we did wah, wah, wah.
And then it wasn't supported.
Not anymore.
From user side, it doesn't matter how you make the
Yeah.
call, right? It should not be.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Right.
As long as
They
you
don't
pick up
know.
the phone, you make the call,
And it
should
works.
go, it works. How does it work through the different boxes? That's different. That's part of the configuration.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's from my side.
Cool.
So from me today, mine's about tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we, Tariq and I have a client coming in, and they had all these questions. We're actually starting off with security, Office 365 security. So they just got the go-ahead from their internal security folks to move. They purchased the cloud a while ago, 365, but they just now got permission to start to deploy. So we're really starting from scratch. So although they got permission for specific workloads.
Okay.
But there's some of them that they want to do that they didn't get the go-ahead.
Okay.
So one of them is OneDrive.
Yeah.
And they're like all about OneDrive. Oh, OneDrive. They want to be able to get to, I think I left my phone out in the other room. It is, mine's sitting out there. Oh.
You can hold the phone.
So so at any rate, they got the go-ahead, but then, they want to get to it via the mobile device.
Yeah.
They want to get to all these different scenarios, but they want to deploy it on-premise.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we had a pre-call, and they were talking. They had their topics, and one of them was how to deploy OneDrive on-prem. And I said, well, we should probably talk about that right now. And I said,
How to use your mobile device on-prem. And
Don't
Well,
they already have on-prem some sort of a USB pad for storage?
yeah, I mean, what I told them was, I said, look, if you want me to talk about on-prem, I can save you all that right now. Don't do
They're
it.
probably confused
What'd
with
they
the syncing mechanism where you can get the local files on your PC.
Well, no, they were specifically thinking of deploying it on SharePoint
Oh, I see.
on-prem,
I see.
OneDrive.
Okay.
And I said, you're going to lose,
Okay.
I said the security holes and things, the security things you're going to have to do to reverse proxy publish and all are going to make it fundamentally less secure
Sure.
than if you used our cloud instance
First of all,
itself.
my question, does it support it? But from Microsoft. Is
Yeah,
it
so you
supported?
can
So
do
now
it.
you
You
can do it.
technically can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But the other
But
thing.
don't.
But
Please don't.
I told him, I said, it's like taking out your gun and going boom, shoot
I-
in foot.
And I've never tested this, so the reason why I was skeptical about the on-prem is forgetting that the features will not ship anywhere nearly as fast.
Yeah.
I don't know, when you bring up the OneDrive client on a phone, I've never worked with a customer where it points on-prem.
That's true. I don't know that the phone client
So
itself
then,
could.
and then I don't
The
know,
PC client could, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so
yeah.
I've never.
I
there's
have
no-
not. I don't know what that experience would be or how it
And then the
worked.
new-
I've
Yeah.
only experienced that it points to the cloud
That's a
and
good
says,
point.
where am I at? So maybe you
They-
can publish to the cloud and it goes on-prem, but I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Even from home, they would need VPN
so-
access. to
Right,
it.
so,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Or they'd have to reverse proxy
That's-
publish it out, and it's like.
Yeah, you're.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was why, and they said, well, it's around security is the issue. So
Okay.
hence why we're open. They only wanted to talk about DLP, rights management, and
what about
Discovery.
EMS?
yes, EMS. We are actually because we're doing office deployment as a
How'd that
part
get
of the
there?
day.
Why you want to part?
As a part with a smiley face.
Yes.
Like I love that. So that's So if you're a customer who's looking at rolling out 365, you haven't done it yet, and you're just now getting to there. OneDrive belongs in the cloud. Period. I mean,
true.
and when I asked them, the whole thing was too. They have the part of why they want to deploy it is because they have folks using Dropbox,
Oh,
Google, all these other things already in the
Still
cloud
doing
that are
that.
unmanaged, and I'm like,
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's,
okay, we'll get
that's
you
all
out of the
common.
unmanaged, we'll get you into security.
yeah.
And it's
that
not a
gets
licensing
updated.
discussion because they own it.
No, they
right?
own it.
Right.
So there you go.
So that's.
But they don't own OneDrive on-prem even. Technically, you'd have to
No,
build
they
out
do.
a farm.
They're going to have on-prem instance anyways. They're going to be a
Yeah.
hybrid mode.
No, that's
for a while,
fine. But like to build out, you need a lot
Yeah.
of storage.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So interesting. That'd be
Yeah.
good. All right. So
that's it for me.
Good stuff.
Nice.
All right. So
What you
mine,
got? While you're starting,
I wanted to see if I could use the
Look at the phone.
I'm
whiteboard.
getting my phone before somebody
All
walks
right.
by.
We're gonna do a real 360 here. You're gonna turn to your right, I think.
Let's just follow Todd as he goes to the.
Oh,
Oh, you're not going up?
360. What are you doing?
I
Are
just
you
want to use the
sending it?
whiteboard quick.
Are you
no,
doing it?
I'm just gonna walk up to the.
Oh,
Watch
look
this
at him.
magic.
The magic of Todd.
I'm up on the whiteboard.
You
So-
are a true architect.
So we're having these discussions with customers that start with they're on some legacy version of Office, 2007, 2010, and they got to move ahead. And we talk about Office 365 Pro Plus and
Yeah.
EMS and OneDrive and everything
Yeah.
else. But the one theme that comes across is, you know, remember when people on XP, maybe they're running Office XP, maybe they're running 2003, something like that, and it just kind of sat there. And then
Yeah.
finally, you know, the cow jumped over the moon, and then Win 7 came out, and then finally they're like, we got to get off that and get on this. And then maybe they went to Office 2007 or 2010, and then it just sits there.
Mm-hmm.
And it just becomes like this stale thing that's like so old that you want to go home and use whatever. So what we've been talking with these customers about is, look, when we go to Windows 10 and then hopefully Office 365 Pro Plus, I'm trying to get my numbers right. You know, one reason they're scared about this, and they have good reason, is because they have these really expensive, let's say at least 1 million plus applications that are only certified on certain things. Maybe they're certified on Office 2010 and Windows 7, and you know, they're only supported on certain levels as well. So
Mhm.
when we're on Pro Plus, we're taking updates every month. We're taking updates every month on Windows 10.
Yeah.
It's too fast. So
Yeah.
so the one thing that they've been very receptive with is Azure RemoteApp, and saying, look, the data, by drawing the famous picture that gets me out of any meeting, is your on-prem environment's here, you got the $1 million app sitting here, all the data's on-prem, you don't move it. We just do RemoteApp, we just put the client up here, and then whether they're on-prem or here, they can get access to that. We can put all kinds of security around it. The data goes across the wire, it never lands here or gets stored here. And what that means is they can go with the latest desktop and keep moving fast, but the application is essentially virtual, right? So it just shows up here, and we just publish the app here. And you can put all your other apps that aren't as maybe sensitive in there. And so that's been something that, you know, in some ways it's not new, because you could have done this with Citrix millions of years ago and today. But the nice thing about this is you don't have to do all the infrastructure on-prem and put all the big investments. So you pay as you go, and that's nice. The other thing people have been looking at is they might have these old apps that maybe not be as important, but they have hundreds of apps, and they go, well, half of them people don't use. Well, you can either delete them and hope people don't use them, or just throw them with a remote app and actually figure that out. So,
Right.
so that's another thing we've been digging into.
Nice.
So there you go.
So you said by saying that the remote app does like the auditing and can tell who's been using it and accessing it. Where
Yeah,
they
well,
can't do
you know
that
what? It's just the
on-prem?
Windows server, so you can tell who's running these things using like Config Manager.
Okay.
I don't know I gotta check if Remote App's gotten to the point where it's showing you at the app level what's being used. I gotta double check that. I know it can tell you overall usage, but worst case is you can use Config Manager that will report who's kicking it off.
Okay.
So that's using familiar tools at least.
Okay.
But that's a good point. I'll check on that. That team moves fast, so they might have
Yeah.
added that piece.
Very cool.
Very cool. Good stuff.
So one last thing. There were some announcements at E3, and one of
Oh.
them, so there was 2 Xboxes announced.
Oh,
There's
I love
one
that.
coming right out.
Yes.
The Xbox One S.
Yeah.
And then the code name
Project Scorpio.
Project Scorpio.
Right.
So,
2 S's.
so the one I'm interested in, 2 S's, Scorpio and S. Is that a tie?
Could be.
The one I'm interested in is the one coming out soon. It's the S.
Yeah.
No brick, like the old
Right.
one. They're saying it is going to be. I saw an update from the Xbox blog, I guess today,
Okay.
talking about they are going to be using custom AMD chipsets like they
Yes.
are today. but it'll be more powerful. It's going to be 4K native rendering.
Yeah.
But this is the thing I thought was interesting. So the starting point price of this thing is $299.
Yeah.
$299.
Yeah.
Same as the Xbox One.
Yep.
40% smaller. It's gonna be slightly more capable. But the thing that I thought was fascinating was it's shipping with a 4K Blu-ray player.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
you see a lot of in the stores and stuff. There are those, they call them 4K Blu-ray players for 120, 150. But what those do actually is they just play standard. They can't play a 4K Blu-ray.
Okay.
They play a standard Blu-ray and they upscale.
I thought the Blu-ray was always 4K, isn't it? Blu-ray was better.
You mean
than
Blu-ray?
Blu-ray, sorry.
Yeah, it is better, but it's not 4K.
Oh, okay.
It's not 4K.
So I bought a Blu-ray player 2 years ago.
Yeah,
when it came out.
but it's a Blu-ray. But the new ones that are saying 4K,
Yeah.
if they're in the $100 and something range, they upscale. So they're actually doing it. They're reading a Blu-ray at 1080p,
Right. And you
right?
need a 4K
And then they're
display.
doing they're upscaling it, and it looks great. I have a 4K TV, and we're doing that. To buy, so at a not to be named large electronic retailer, I looked up on their website
Right.
yesterday,
I'm looking
and they
at
had
that.
one 4K player by a not to be named vendor who also makes phones. I'll just say that. Not to be named vendor, very large Asian vendor. And but there were many vendors from Asia. I'll just leave it. Asia's big. So
Right now they're.
that price was $399 for just the Blu-ray 4K player.
Wow.
$399. So
how
for
many Xbox games can you play on that?
none.
That's right. Okay.
So for $100,
I just wanted to check.
$100 less,
Right.
I can get an Xbox One S that will play those same ones, has all the built-in streaming of the native
That's
services, and it says it'll stream those services at native 4K. So
Yeah.
if you have the native Netflix 4K
Okay.
video,
Yeah.
or from Amazon Prime that does 4K video,
Yeah.
it'll stream true 4K,
Okay.
true 4K streaming, 4K playing from that, and it will, games that are not in 4K,
Nice.
it'll upscale, and it'll upscale 1080p
Yeah,
Blu-rays
it's going
or
to do
DVDs.
a nice job.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah,
It's
so
got
I
that
was
hardware.
like, that's pretty rocket.
Yeah.
For $100 cheaper, you get the whole console, and it's a console that's been reduced in size to the size of like that Blu-ray player.
No, that was a surprise announcement. That was I didn't expect that.
I was pretty stoked with that.
Nice. But your neighbors, all the internet's going to be slow now because everyone's streaming.
No,
4K.
because so I am on a company for my internet providing
Yes.
that uses fiber to the house.
Ooh,
So I do not. It is not a shared.
Very
We're on a
nice.
direct fiber.
Right, right.
that is good.
Yes.
Right.
So I
So
like
when
that.
people come to your house.
And I'm getting upgraded to 100 up and 100 down.
That is nice.
Nice.
So having said that, we should talk to someone we know in this building of when we're getting ours. Our Xbox
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
One S.
One S.
Yes.
So we'll.
One that's we
Well, there's always an
upgrade
action
the-
item.
An action item.
We'll
When
take
are we
that
getting
action
that? So we can test it before we buy. Try before you buy.
Pre-order it.
Right.
So you heard stuff about that? You were paying close attention. This was it Scorpio?
Yeah. So that was like right at the end of the broadcast yesterday. So that's the upscaled machine that has a whole bunch of improved specifications around it. Not going to be launched until holiday next year, holiday 2017. But it's a preview to get the developers thinking and all the game creators thinking about, okay, this new platform's coming. What can we build for it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the main focus.
So looking at a one
Yeah.
and the new one, like how much more powerful?
So I think the one stat that they keep floating around is like 6 teraflops more, or 6 teraflops of processing power on the Project Scorpio machine
Right.
versus let's say 1.5 that we currently have on the current machine. So,
That's
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, that's a
So
big
what
difference.
about that other game console? Do we spank it finally?
It's definitely a good start of a platform to get people. Thinking
No,
about
I mean as far as the power, the
Yeah.
processing
The power,
power.
yes. I mean,
They mentioned it at the end. They mentioned some numbers that we're ahead of their machine that's
we're
not even
leapfrogging.
released yet. So I don't know
That's true.
what that means. If they go back to the board and add a few teraflops, but
Let's stick a teraflop
like we
in
said
there.
earlier, their goal is top of the line, no compromise hardware.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, that was their commitment, and there was about 10 people in a video at the end that kept saying that.
Yeah,
So
over and over.
So they're going to be sad if that's not what happens.
And that's the one
Yeah.
I'm waiting for. I'm gonna
But
wait.
it-
I'm gonna pass
You're waiting for
1S.
that, then.
Yeah, I want to see that when it comes out, because that'll
Very
be
cool.
4 years of having the original Xbox.
Yep.
So
I
be a
still
good
have
time to move
360.
in.
I
never
And
remember.
you're all about the retro. It's awesome.
My
And I
other
got one
360 is
too.
running in the house. It runs great.
Yeah.
So it's great for streaming.
Yeah. Very cool. So I guess any other stuff by anybody? Or is that it?
That's it for now, I think.
Yeah.
We don't want to give it all away.
Don't want to give it all away. So, hey, so what we're going to be looking to do, I won't be here next week. I will
Okay.
be tanning or scaring beachgoers, I should say, as I lay on the
Okay.
beach. In Myrtle Beach.
Nice.
But when I get back, we're going to be starting then the weekly Architects 360 in the Envisioning Center. So we'll be in a nicer 360-degree environment. They get to see, what are we calling it now? It's not Dominic.
Mr.
Mr. Compete.
Mr. Compete, so
MC.
MC with his boxing gloves.
Mr. Compete.
They'll get to see all our stuff in there. But people will be able to actually participate live
Yeah.
in our 360-degree recording session.
Yeah.
So in 2 weeks, be checking it out so you'll be able to see it. If you're not a member, join now our Facebook page for MTC Studios. You'll be able to see that there. And then we'll put it up on YouTube as well.
And lastly, I just want to say, if you're a Skype for Business online user, keep looking at new updates coming in the next few months, especially around Skype broadcast meeting. We're going to start adding the closed captioning.
Oh, yes, that's coming.
And it's there.
Live
Also
closed
live,
captioning.
Live. The way we tested and demonstrated in the Enterprise Connect.
Yep.
Real time. Also the Q&A, anonymous Q&A.
Yep.
Actually, it's going to be enabled by PowerShell commandlet, so look for
Awesome.
that. And also online services, new services, offline messaging. It's already available actually. So if a person is offline, you can still send a message. As soon as they log in, they'll see the pop-up.
Very cool.
Hopefully you didn't change your mind.
And the Mac,
Between wait, message.
one last thing, Mac client is in its final preview mode.
Woo! The Mac.
No way.
So within a couple
Dun-dun.
of months,
Right.
we're hoping that it'll be released to the public.
And Mike, what apps should people download to watch us in 360?
They just have to open up. So the couple of
If you're
ways
on
to
a phone.
watch it. So if you're on a phone, if you open your Facebook app,
Yeah.
it just works.
Okay.
It just shows up. We tested it earlier today.
Nice.
If you're on, if you're looking at YouTube, if you open up the YouTube app for
Yeah.
for iOS or for Android, just works. Start flicking around. You can go 360. Boo. You can also use the VR stuff with it.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough, like we're setting ours up, we're gonna have a Vive.
Mhm.
We got it. We
You
just
can
have to get it set
Hook all
up.
that up to watch this.
Live in Oculus, you can sit there and really be like. But I was watching the test one I did this morning. I have the the cheap headset that you
Yeah.
put the phone in. I did that one recording and I put it in and boom, there I was like,
Great.
and I was
Nice,
pointing. I said,
yeah.
"There's Tariq," but he was really over here. But I'm
Bring,
looking
bring
at
that
him
to the
here.
next meeting,
Yeah,
and we'll
Yeah,
show
that-
it to
we
them.
should,
Yeah.
right.
yeah, we'll bring it in.
Because it's a good
Cool.
price,
Yeah.
and it makes a great
VR is
Father's
like-
Day, Mother's Day, birthday, holiday gift.
I think VR and AR is the future. That's
Yeah.
where everybody's going.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining Architects 360. I'm Mike,
Rich?
Tariq.
Todd.
and
Big.
Baby Bing. Have a great one, folks.